everybody, and welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
My favorite show.
Yay!
My favorite show of 2022.
Yes,
But this is the last show of 2021.
yes. And I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and get ready to go to this new year. So,
I hope it's better than the last one.
yeah, yeah.
You know that it was actually a sadder year than last year.
hmm
Like there are more celebrity deaths,
Yeah.
more people. I think more people died of COVID this year,
Oh,
and
wow.
it had little to do with the vaccinations. It was because of people wouldn't take the
I
vaccination.
know.
So I love the vaccination.
Me. Well,
I love getting a shot.
yeah,
Remember when you were a kid, you didn't want to get a shot. Now
yeah,
I want to get a shot.
yeah, yeah.
I want one of these shots too.
Yeah.
No, my name is Kaye Lazar. Thanks for having me as your almost special guest. Anyway, Mary, I was joking about the vaccinations, and I think on the way over here, I was telling Mary that I've had all the shots. I've had three COVID shots. I've had two flu. This isn't since it all started, like maybe the March of 2020. I've had two flu shots, one each year that I usually get anyway. I've got two shingle shots. My family's pressuring me to get the pneumonia shot, and or as we used to call it when we were kids, the ammonia shot, which means get some Mr. Clean in there.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to clean? Uh, let's see. Oh, speaking of Mr. Clean, I was watching a movie with Vin Diesel,
Oh, wow, really?
and he's wearing a white T-shirt
Uh-huh.
and his
Yeah.
round head, and I said,
Yeah.
put an earring on him. You got Mr. Clean right there.
Yes.
Then I was watching the Fast and Furious, and he was wearing like a suit with a three-piece suit, and I said, all you need is give this man a lollipop. You got your new Kojak.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got the so I said, listen, I'll get a shot for anything. Listen,
Yeah.
I've gotten shots when I was a kid for polio, for smallpox, for
Yeah.
mumps,
Oh,
for
yeah.
measles. I said if they had a shot for dandruff, I
Right.
would get it because I don't
Right.
want to get sick. I want to be
Right.
healthy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just like I
And
got my
so
COVID shot this past year.
you got COVID, yeah,
And I'm getting
and
my booster tomorrow.
there you go.
So
You see, that's what I like to hear.
yes.
People getting healthy.
Yes, I'm trying to get healthy.
They
So
said recently Dr. Fauci. They asked him about the vaccinations, and on Fox News and everything, he's the villain, and he's the man who's trying to help everyone. While people who say you should be using bleach and and hydroxychloroquine and all this other stuff, and now a guy saying mouthwash will kill COVID. Let me
right.
tell you something. They asked him, are you happy with how the way the shots worked out? He goes, yes, very happy.
Yeah.
The only thing that he wasn't happy about was he didn't realize there would be such so many people, almost 30% of the population
Mhm.
not wanting to take it.
Right.
You know, I can understand for religious reasons, but just
Yeah.
because some nut on television or on AM radio tells you you shouldn't take it, I bet you anything those people took it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't want to tell you that.
They because I don't know what
Right.
no one's paying me
Yeah.
to tell you not to take it.
Hmm.
Oh, some guy on his motorcycle's taking it. It's a new thing out. It's called Midas muffler.
Yes.
I think he just wants to make it in show business. I think he was mad at what I was saying. But anyway, yeah. So yeah. No one on left wing media is telling me to tell you to take the shot.
Right.
Some
Right.
things just make common sense. Now,
Right.
if you have a religion that's against it,
Yeah.
but most people don't.
Yeah.
And of course exceptions are made.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, they had the swine flu, and they wanted everyone to get the swine flu vaccine. A lot of
Yeah.
people got sick from that.
Yeah.
The Guillain-Barré, I think it was called.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I never got it because I was too young. I was only like 10. But I wanted the shot. I wanted the shot then.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they had the polio shot, and they put it on a sugar cube, and we walked by, and each kid grabbed the sugar cube and ate it, and it was kind of brown looking. They put it on the sugar cube, and we just ate it like a horse.
Oh wow.
We ate right out of the hands of the doctors in those days. And what happened was, we so anyway, this is what happened. I found out before I was born the shots that came out, the Jonas Salk vaccination was a shot. It was a syringe, and you had to get a shot. Okay. Then the next one was Sabin vaccination, I guess, and it was on a sugar cube. Now, how this is how they did it, and you're gonna love this. They he Now all vaccinations are basically based on this principle. You take the dead virulent cells and injecting them into somebody of a disease. And then your body, since those cells can't kill you, your body doesn't know that, and your body creates the antibodies to destroy it. So, so once they were confident that the first vaccination worked with the dead viruses, they put live ones in the second one, and that was the one we took. So you take the sugar cube, and then I said, "Can I have another one?" No, no, you can only take the one, meaning that they didn't want they didn't want your body just full of the polio virus in those days. This is back in the I guess 1970s. And the craziest thing was it was the one vaccination you like to take because it was sugar cube. See, my mom would never let us have sugar.
Because my mom would let me have sugar. So.
And that's all you ate when you were a kid. That's all you wanted was sugar.
Right, that's all I wanted was sugar. Well, my
Surprised,
mom wouldn't let me. So.
I'm surprised I still have my teeth. All the sugar I
Yeah,
ate.
me too. I was surprised I still have my teeth. So.
That'd be like a meth head with just sugar.
Right, right.
I once ate. On Halloween you trick or treat.
Yeah.
I would never give up on all that free candy, so I would trick or treat every year. And what happened was, um, they said, "Don't eat all your candy in one night." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try to space it out." But what they were telling me was I would probably get a stomach ache if I ate all my candy at one time. Well, guess what? I've never eaten up to that point. I've never eaten all the candy I wanted at one time.
Yeah.
So, um, so, uh, uh, so just not that long ago, maybe 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I was. It was my at work. I had to dispense all this candy
Right.
to people,
Right.
and it was all good candy. It was all Snickers bars and Milky Way bars and peanut butter cups and I mean the good stuff, the stuff you want when you're trick or treating. In fact, it was around Halloween, I think, when it happened. Like so. Anyway, so I was just munching down candy. I was working too. So I mean, I was. That's what I was at. I was on. I was on the. I was on the clock, and I was eating candy and then giving them. Here's a peanut butter cup for you and two peanut butter cups for me. And I was just eating. Within an hour, I probably ate up more candy than I ever ate in my whole life, and I did not get a stomach ache. Something else happened. I had probably 2 hours of work after before I got off, and boom, it just the bottom fell out of my and I got exhausted. I felt like I couldn't even lift my arm. I'm like, oh man, I am so exhausted. I'm so tired. I just want to take a nap because I had the energy. Boom, and that sugar crash they call it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess that's how kids fall asleep. When I have to take a long bus ride or something, I actually will take a soda, a sugar soda, and it usually puts me to sleep. But if that doesn't work, then you have to drink the Nyquil. I know people who drink Nyquil on long bus rides, long train rides, long plane rides, and they don't even have a sore throat. They just want to fall asleep.
Right.
So, so you've been catching up with the news. I understand something happened on Monument Avenue,
Yes, yes,
or
yes.
I call it Pedestal Avenue. There's no more monuments on there.
Yes.
Major ones anyway. I think Arthur Ashe is
Yes.
still up, but that's about it.
Right, yeah.
What'd you see?
I on the news I heard something that they were like when they were doing the removing the Robert E. Lee statue,
Hmm.
they they had found like this box like a time capsule
A time capsule.
that was buried.
And how long ago was it buried? Like 100
It was
years ago,
set
150 years?
around like 100 some years ago, like think.
1887. That would be more than 130 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and
If you're watching this in the current day.
yeah, they were opening up.
Yeah.
And they found all this stuff like books and ammunition.
Books.
Yes, they found almanacs. From
Almanac.
1887,
Yeah.
and they found like stuff, like for Richmond, Virginia,
Yeah.
from back then, and
Yeah.
all kinds of other stuff.
Okay, now they found ammunition. Was this like muskets and cannonballs or
I don't think it was
something
the
from back
cannon.
then? From
It
back
wasn't.
then,
Yeah, the cannonballs were too big,
they have
but they had other stuff.
the Gatling gun, that old time uh, machine gun.
They
The
had they found like a little
yeah.
ribbon that had like Robert E. Lee's picture on it.
Okay, a photograph. Okay.
It's like it was a ribbon that they gave everybody when they went to a. It was some kind of like event or something that they had during the Civil War or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
I forgot what it actually was, but
Yeah.
they had like they got out this like ribbon that that
Okay.
they were giving out to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, so
And so like a distinguished soldier's ribbon.
yeah,
I
whatever it is, I think.
and
Yeah.
he was like if the South would have won the Civil War, don't get too excited. If the South would have won the Civil War, uh, I guess he would be the George Washington of the South. In fact, wasn't George Washington? He married his daughter or something, granddaughter or something. Robert E. Lee.
Mm.
They're related. That's why Washington and Lee University is named has that
Mhm.
they has that in there.
Right.
I'll remember it in a moment. There's one of those bits of history where strange how a lot of Confederates were related to people who weren't Confederates. Like
Yeah.
um, I think Jefferson Davis's father-in-law was Polk,
Mm.
President Polk,
Oh.
and here he became the president of his own country. Jefferson Davis. Jefferson
Right.
Davis buried in Richmond.
Mhm.
He was originally buried in Tennessee, where he's from, and then I guess in the fervor of building all these monuments about 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, they they uh, they said let's move Jefferson Davis to Richmond. So they
Yeah.
exhumed his bones and everything and sent him
Yeah.
to Richmond. So he
Yeah.
was already in the ground 50 years up to that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And what else? So and of course, brother versus brother in the Civil War. It was a
Right.
bad time. It
Yeah,
was a
it
bad time.
was.
There was a guy, the Secretary of State, the Jewish guy, Judah Benjamin. He he lived in Richmond, and then when the South lost the war, he was actually implicated in the Lincoln assassination, and he had to hightail it to England and live there the rest of his life. But he was actually offered, I think he was offered a Supreme Court justiceship before the Civil War. He was such a brilliant
Wow.
man. And so, it was, but at the same time, how did we let ourselves get into this?
Yeah.
You have to remember something about history. Between 1820, I guess the last really good president up to that point was Andrew Jackson, the guy in the $20 bill,
Yeah.
and Lincoln. We had a whole bunch of presidents that were the worst, lamest presidents we ever had. You don't see them on stamps. You don't see them on statues.
Mm.
You probably remember them having to. Polk might have been all right, but he was about the only one. The rest of them, in fact, there was one that was terrible. That was right before Honest Abe, and that was Buchanan. He pretty much let the country get in a disarray and secede, and all these states secede
Yeah.
to allow Lincoln to come in and have to piece
Right.
it back together.
Yeah.
Now, and these books. Okay, tell me about the books.
There was an almanac that
All
they
right,
found.
almanac.
It was from 1887.
Okay.
It was another one called. I forgot what they actually called, but I can tell you.
Yeah. Let me tell you about almanacs. You don't really hear about them anymore, but they were this like a yearbook.
Uh-huh.
But they were more than a yearbook. They would give the events, but they gave a lot of statistics in them, like the
Right.
populations of other countries, and it's just for that year. whatever
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and 1887 or
Right.
whatever year you said,
Right.
and then sometimes they would even predict weather.
Mhm.
And the weather was very important. More so, today you just get cold or hot, and you have to turn on the on
Yeah.
the thermostat or something. But in those days, they used their that as an indicator. What the plant, what the crops come in. I guess farmers are still into the weather.
Right.
And
Right.
so the almanac was. We used to have an almanac. We bought
Oh,
one.
so did I.
We bought a new almanac every 2 years. We always felt that if we don't have to buy one for the next year because there's enough. It won't change that much,
Yeah. Yeah.
but maybe in 2 years it'll change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you remember looking? What did you look up in the almanac when you were a kid?
Like different things, like
Yeah.
what happened in the year and
Mm.
all that stuff. So
I used to look at the maps a lot. It used to be all print. There was not really many pictures and
right.
photos in there,
Yeah.
or illustrations, I should say. But then right in the middle, there'd be all these maps, and you
Well,
just look at these now. All these places I want to visit, all these places around the world I want to
well,
go to.
um, Walt Disney had its own honor,
Oh, Walt Disney had an almanac.
and I had about a couple of those.
Hmm.
That's that kind of almanac that I used to look
Yeah,
at, because I was a kid. And,
yeah.
they were pretty good books. I mean, it was Walt Disney, and
Did he say when the seven dwarfs go in the diamond mine and
well, I mean, it had
excavate?
the real stuff though in
Yeah.
it, like the real world stuff.
If the seven dwarfs worked in a diamond mine, and they seem to be the only ones working there. They might have owned the thing. They did they Why did they live so simply? Why didn't they get more girlfriends with all those diamonds instead of just the one, Snow White? And they had to give her up at the end to Prince
I
Charming.
don't know. It's sweet.
I think Snow
I
White
feel
would have
bad for them.
I think Snow White would have been happier with Doc.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah,
Prince Charming's kind of boring. All he does is kiss her and
yeah.
waits around for her. And and I'm sure he has. And while the seven dwarfs got their money, they earned it by diamonds. The Prince Charming and his family just got it from taxing the peasants.
Yeah.
She's marrying into that sleazy family.
Right. In a mind, a million diamonds shine. We tick, 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 always through. We tick, 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 da, 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 da. It was a song from Snow White,
That's from Snow
you
White.
know.
There's a lot of good songs in Snow White.
Yes.
I saw Snow White for the first time since I was a kid
Yeah, me
a few
too.
years ago, and I forgot it's a real musical. The first 20 minutes is just a bunch of songs. Somewhere my prince will come.
Yeah.
Someday my prince will come. Hi ho, and of course,
Hi ho,
and all those
hi
other great
ho,
songs. Yeah,
let's walk toward each other. La
yeah,
la 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 la. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And what else? And so there were almanacs, okay,
Yes.
and there was what else was there? Shoes, old shoes.
No, it was there was another book about Richmond back then,
Okay.
I think, and some stuff
The
that was,
shining city on the hill
yeah,
in those days.
and some like little wooden things that were carved, shape of like flags and stuff, like Confederate flags.
Okay,
So,
okay.
and I think they found some other things too, but
Yeah, a
I mean,
lot of old books.
yeah, a lot of mostly old books.
Looks like a thrift store the way you describe it.
Yeah, I was like,
It looks like the treasure chest at a thrift store.
yeah, yeah,
Let me tell you something about time capsules. I don't think I never understood the appeal of them, even as a kid, because everyone said, "Oh, they're going to open a time capsule from 50 years ago, or from 100 years ago, or something." But usually, there's documentation what was in there anyway.
yeah,
It's not really a big surprise.
yeah.
And even if you, even I mean, what books are books?
Yeah, I mean,
It's just going to be the same book,
I think I wonder.
except it's going to crumble when you turn the pages because it's
Oh,
been
they
there
also
so.
found like Civil War dollar bills.
Okay.
and everything. That's what what else they
Yeah.
found? Civil War dollar bills
Yeah.
and ribbons and
Confederate money.
all that good stuff.
Let me tell you
I
about
mean, it's
about
not
money.
really good
Well, no,
because it was
it's
during the
worth it.
Civil War.
It's museum
Yeah, I
worthy.
mean it's worth something.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, okay. None of that is really worth anything. It's worth it in like in a museum, and it's worth it, for a collector to have it.
Mhm.
But it's not like it's something like valuable. It's not like they found like radium or something,
Right.
or
Yeah.
uranium,
Yeah.
or something, or something like it'd be cool if you buried a bunch of coal. You're talking about diamonds. And you buried a bunch of coal, and then you opened the 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 uh, the time capsule. It all turned into diamonds. Oh, now we got something here.
Yeah. But I was just wondering.
Or diamonds that turned into coal.
Yeah, I was just wondering why would they put that stuff
I don't know. Maybe
underneath
when if some aliens came and took over and they tore down that statue, which we beat them to,
the casket?
they say, "Oh, look what this is. What this is now." I've heard a lot of wild stuff. A lot of science fiction has to do with this. Um, I think what was it? I think there was a movie Starman, but there's a few movies like this where every time you do something like a TV show and put it on a satellite or on
Yeah.
or a radio show,
Right.
or anything really, or even the internet, what we're doing here, it goes beep 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 beep, and it goes up into the sky and it keeps going.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, an alien could grab that and see. That's actually more valuable than a a time capsule because look what there's life in another planet. We don't know where it is, but look, it's two people talking about stuff.
Wow.
And then there was one episode, I think, of Tales from the Dark Side,
Right.
which I found very fascinating, where this guy did Darren McGavin, who was in the Christmas Story. They He was the main actor, and what happened was the aliens came to Earth, and they wanted their favorite TV show was a show that Darren McGavin character
Right.
had done
Right.
something like
Right.
20 years ago, and he had since it's been canceled, and it was and he became a drunk and everything, and so they said, we have all this money here, or all this gold or something, or whatever the aliens brought, and it goes to pay for a new another year of that show. And so they did the show, and the guy got off of drinking, and it was actually a pretty cool show. But came, you got the idea that that almost everything that's broadcast. I used to think that with radio. I thought sooner or later the aliens were going to come when I did a radio show
Right.
and
Right.
say, Kaye Lazar, you're our favorite. You're our favorite American, and we want more of your show. And at that point, I'm a has been on Earth, but then I have a whole new career on
Right.
whatever planet they're on.
Right. Right. Yeah.
There's also an episode of The Twilight Zone similar to that where well, how did it go? There was this guy, he was played by Andy Devine. You probably remember this episode. It's a very funny episode where he just tells these stories about how he how he how he won battles and how he fought a bear and how all this
Yeah.
stuff and how he rode a motorcycle
Right.
over a mountain or something. And all his friends, yeah,
Yeah.
what a tall tale teller. He's always lying and all this stuff. Well,
Right.
the aliens came to Earth and wanted to take him back to their planet because he was the greatest Earthling they ever heard of. And he said, I don't want to go to that planet. He goes, yes, but all
Right.
these feats you did. And he said, I
Right.
made them all up. He goes, wait, you made them all. And they have no concept of lying. They think everything is the truth.
Right.
So, so, so I think eventually at the end, no, if I remember right, they about to take him up, and he
Yeah.
escapes from him. And then he, at the end of the Twilight Zone, he's explained to all his friends what he did. The aliens kidnapped me, and I fought them, and I escaped from their spaceship,
Yeah.
and they said, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just more of the lies he was
Yeah.
telling, but it
Yeah.
was such great. And I always felt that, yeah, that's a potential. Ever, I think that's sort of a hidden thing.
Mhm.
We all want to be discovered by people who haven't met us yet. That's why
Right.
it's so great to travel and maybe move to another town or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
because then you could just reinvent yourself as this new guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that's why uh, so I always think of time capsules are most interesting when they are um, found. I mean, maybe not 100 years later, but maybe 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we on Earth, if I remember right, we sent a something a video or something. It was like a video
Uh-huh.
through space of, and it had all the languages that are spoken on Earth in
Oh.
alphabets, and they all said, "Welcome to our planet. We are waiting your," and they'd show people. I think it was a naked man, naked woman in the picture. There was also I mean, it was like a drawing,
Yeah.
and there was animals in the picture. These are the animals on our planet and all. And that would be interesting coming,
Oh yeah.
you know. I remember there was uh, I think I was watching on the Seinfeld TV show where the guy said, if you were kidnapped by aliens, would you rather be in their circus or in their zoo? And it was a good answer. He said, I'd rather be in their zoo because then people will just look at me and admire me. But if I'm in their circus, I would be expected to do tricks and work and everything.
Yeah.
And when all this stuff, which is actually kind of telling,
Right.
because when I go to the zoo, I like the zoo looking at these animals. A lot of those animals would be extinct
Yeah.
if it weren't for the zoo's good efforts. And I think they are good efforts. They didn't maybe not used to be. They used to just keep them in cages like prisons, but now they actually have nice habitat and they try to keep them alive and everything. But a circus, I love elephants.
Yeah.
I love, wild animals. They don't have to jump through hoops to impress me. Just show up.
Yeah. Sure.
I have a joke about that.
Mm.
That you ever take a yoga?
I used to years
Yeah.
ago.
Were you
Yeah.
very good at it?
I wasn't really that good at it because I'm
I
not
see the
like
people do. Yeah. Were you that good at it? No.
I've tried, but
Yeah, I tried too.
I could do some yoga, like like I could like do like an Indian style kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know. I could do something like that, but I can't do like other things like
Yeah. I could. I'll tell you what I could do. I could do to a point, but
yeah.
I see people sticking their feet behind their ears and
I can't do that part.
I see people standing on their heads and
I
balancing
can't
on
do
their
that.
fingers, on their two fingers.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Oh no. Yeah.
So I remember getting started in yoga,
Yeah.
and I do the best I can.
Right.
And I'm in pretty
Yeah.
good shape,
Yeah.
but I'm not,
Yeah. I'm
I'm
pretty
not
good shape
yoga,
too.
I'm not in yoga shape.
Yeah. I'm not good either, but
That's all that matters.
yeah, it's all that matters.
So I'm doing the yoga, and I'm having a hard time, and I'm seeing all these other people they look like they're in Cirque du Soleil, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Yeah. I
best
mean,
I can. And so I tell somebody, when it's all over, usually sometimes I'm the only man in the class, but
yeah.
I'll take any class that
Yeah.
has a lot of pretty girls in it. That's why I hang this on this show all the time. So anyway, so I'm in the class, and I said to the yoga woman, the leader, the yogi, not Yogi Bear, or Yogi Berra, the famous Yankee catcher. I go to the yogi and I listen, I hope you don't mind. I was doing the best I can, and I can't do what a lot of these people do. And she told me something very interesting. She goes, "You're the only man in the class, and you're getting attention just showing up,
Yeah.
because women here are a dime a dozen. It's great to see a man here." And I said, "Oh, that's good." And then she said, "And let me tell you something. Just do the best you can. A lot of women here have been doing it for years, and they're very limber and they're very pliable and
Yeah.
elastic, and you're,
Yeah.
at this point you're rather stiff, but." she said she said don't you know what, a man in a yoga class is like a seal at the circus blowing the horns
Yeah.
and playing a song.
Yeah.
Said nobody's really listening how good you can play it.
Yeah.
They're just they just they just it's just the fact that you can do it and
Right.
you showed up is good enough for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you will never buy a CD of seals blowing horns because it doesn't sound all that great.
Yeah, yeah.
And oh, I actually had this discussion, a similar discussion with somebody else the other day, and she told me about the books that were found in the time capsule. Said that just a bunch of old books, 100 years old, that's no big deal. Now
Yeah,
show me the books from Jesus' time.
yeah,
That would have been a big deal.
yeah,
So I answered back, I've actually seen those books.
yeah,
and I was in Scotland,
yeah.
and the traveling exhibit in Glasgow when I
Mhm.
was there just happened to be there, and I went to the museum, and the extra $3 I could see
Yeah, yeah.
another exhibition, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow.
Now the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in Israel,
Oh,
or
okay.
what that area that it's not it's Israel now, but in those days it was part of Egypt or
Yeah,
somewhere, and it was Nazareth and all those all that area,
yeah.
and so they found these Dead Sea Scrolls from in the Dead Sea near I guess where Masada was,
Okay.
and but they weren't as exciting as you think.
Mhm.
They were just crumpled up looking paper with very faint looking Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, wasn't even the Hebrew
Wow.
you could read today. Ancient, and then on the other side was the English translation,
Mhm.
written that you could read it, and that was so you would look at the thing you couldn't look at, but was valuable or should I say
Yeah.
holy or whatever, and then
Right.
you turn to the right and just read it in English,
Oh,
and it was all prayers and everything. You
yeah.
didn't find out anything you didn't already know
Mm.
about the Dead Sea Scrolls. But that was so I have seen stuff from you. You like going to the museum?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I like the art in a museum, but then I go to see the Egyptian hieroglyphics and the Rosetta Stone at the
yeah.
British Museum and stuff like that, and you kind of say, oh, it's old and it's,
Wow, yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah, yeah,
The famous joke about going to a museum is you take your kids and see the modern art or the Picassos, and there's always
yeah,
one guy who says, "My kid could do it better than this."
yeah.
So, well, you then put a paintbrush in your kid's hand and do
Mhm.
better than
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, thanks for telling us all about the about
The
can't
time
even the
capsule.
capsule of time
Yes.
and that found in Richmond,
Hmm.
and we'll talk some more about other stuff. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, if you'll continue on joining in, we're going to take a little break right now, and we will be back as soon as we can. May God bless you.
part 2 coming up.